George, when the ETs contact you, I mean, can you speak through them, for them, or is it just where they speak, you've got to write it down? I mean, you can't communicate as we speak right now, for example?
Not right at the minute. I mean, they're aware of what we're doing. I was in the studio in Kansas City one time, and the host was with me, and he wanted to know how, and they communicated directly with him. And he threw off his headsets, and he walked away. He couldn't believe it. So, I mean, that actually happened with, the whole studio going on. But it's up to them to make communication. Whether it's physical or non-physical, that's not my job. I'm just trying to awaken people up to who and what they are.
All right, if I get any tones in my headsets, I'll let you know.
It's not even tone. It's actually like you and I are talking.
But would I hear a voice?
Yes.
Or would I think I hear a voice?
You would hear a voice. I'll tell you what, how they want to get a hold of me, whether it's daytime or nighttime or anytime. Actually, there's a ring like the phone's ringing, because I have a habit just grabbing the phone when it rings.
Absolutely.
And that's how they trigger me. And the phone's ringing, there's no phone going on. And then I have a communication of some kind. And if I sit down at the computer, I mean, I marvel at the procedure. I just sit there and kind of go into a meditative deal, and the information comes forth. And sometimes I look at it, and I say, now that word should be italicized. And it'll go to italics, and I don't touch it. I mean, it's amazing to see the process.
All right. Have they ever talked with you about the ability to travel in time or back into the past?
Well, basically they say that all the time itself is an illusion that we have, but the future events are not set in stone. Things that have happened in the past. In fact, they took Billy back in past, I guess you're aware of, and he took pictures of, dinosaurs. And they took him forward in time, where he took pictures of, for instance, the San Francisco totally destroyed.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
They also took him to other universes, and it was like a process going through the membrane of an egg, and I was getting the description of it. For me, and asking about the time and the sequence of events, they say we don't even know how to keep track of time. They say, for an illustration, if you take an atomic clock and put it at sea level and then put it up at 14,000 feet, you have different time.
Why is that?
Because of the elevation and gravity. And what happens is on the spacecraft, they have what they call the gravity wave amplifiers, and what they do is they stop space and time, and they go to different objects, wherever they're going in the universe, as they're explaining. And we have some of that technology from the alien craft. You're probably aware of that. You've had other...
Well, I've always heard that we had reversed engineered technology.
When I was at Edwards, Colonel Corso was out there at the same time. I spent a year... The Air Force put me through a year of electronics school. And when I got first assignment, of course, was the Air Force Research and Development Center, and you could have threw out all the stuff that they taught me because they were so far ahead of it at Edwards. It was unbelievable.
Did you ever meet Corso?
No. I was curious about how they got all the technology, and I was talking to a lot of the scientists. I don't know if you're familiar with Edwards. At that time, was about 25,000 civilians and about 800 airmen, because it's the crossover base. We tested. Anyway, I was looking at and I used to be friends with some of the scientists on where they get their technology, and basically they were retro-engineering from the alien stuff, and I wasn't aware of it at that time. I was brought up to date, actually just about 4 months ago. I was a friend of mine in Los Angeles, and because of his position within the so-called the elite, they've given him 3 patents on new materials off of alien spacecraft. So, it's strange how this thing all goes down, and the average person down the street doesn't have it, because it's the greed and power thing again.
Are you, you're an investment banker, so you'll understand this word, bullish, but are you bullish on the future, or are you bearish on the future?
I'm buying gold right now. I think the dollar's going to totally collapse. I'm sure it is. It's just a question of the time it's going to go down. I'll tell you, when I had my securities firm in Denver, I was, as an underwriter, if you're familiar how underwriters are, you come
Did you do, penny stocks or big things at the time?
I did penny stocks, the small stuff.
Yeah.
But you know how it is. You just put together the material, you take, rake off 25 or 30%, you get a bunch of brokers brokering it, and you give the guy the money. Well, an unusual thing happened is that, you remember when you had the last stock market crash?
You mean not counting 9/11, 87, right?
Right, in 87. That's when I shut my firm down.
Okay.
Because when it happened, I got a notice from the Federal Reserve willing to loan me the money to maintain the market. Now, you know, as an underwriter, you have a line at the banks to do things. In other words, to help you do things, right?
Okay, I assume you do. I've never been an underwriter.
Should be. Well, when you're out here, you're supposed to be maintaining a market. That's your job as an underwriter. So you have other brokers sell the stock, but always somebody has to be buying and selling. And if you only sold 10 shares, that reflects the price of all the other stocks. That's the reason what's wrong with the market right now. You can have 100 shares or 1,000 shares traded, and there's a million of them outstanding, and that's going to determine the price of this created monstrosity we have out there. And we don't have any companies making any money right now. It's all paper. It's a whole lie. It's a big deal. Anyway, back to that story. The Fed sent me this letter, said that they'd loan me the money directly. Now, that bypassed the bank. That means the Fed themselves were scared. Then I contacted some of my other broker buddies, and we then analyzed and said, we're not going to go along with this Ponzi game. And so I got out of the market at that point.
How many guys did you have, and women? How many people working for you?
Oh, I don't know, probably 40.
All gone, out of work, bang.
Yeah, I just shut the firm down. I mean, I could no longer tell people to go buy stocks, knowing that it was an illusion, frankly. I then moved the money, and at that time I was selling money to banks in big time, and made a real nuisance. The Feds themselves sent a letter to every bank in the United States not to do business with me.
And you really had some black marks on your...
Well, look, if you have, let's say you had $10,000 and it was just sitting in the bank and making you today 1%, right, or 2%?
If that, right.
Well, if that. What if I got you 5% with no risk in the same bank? In
this kind of climate, in the same bank, I'd say let's do it. How'd you do that?
Well, the president of are you familiar with the fractional reserve system? If you put in $1 million in the bank can loan out $20 million.
Yeah, I mean, it's leverage of your assets.
There's leverage of the deposits of the... Look, I own the bank. I mean, I'm sitting here playing. We're even trying to start a bank outside of the Federal Reserve. And I am looking at the Federal Reserve, frankly, as the central bank collapsing right now. Now, what are you going to do? And, you know, Pravda, the newspaper in Russia, just sent out, it was about 4 months ago, told all the Russian citizens to get rid of the dollars they have. They have about 100 billion floating, and that told them to buy gold. Now, that's a big clue. China has now opened up all the Chinese citizens to buy gold.
Yeah, that's a first.
Well, this is all coming down the line in the New World Order's bank book, and I have it, because I was trying to figure a way to beat them, frankly. In it, they have the definitions of gold. And one of them is called commodity gold, and the other one's called monetized gold. Monetized gold is only gold held by the central bank. So that's maintaining a certain market, right? The other one is commodity gold. That's all other gold. That may be gold that you and I have. In other words, we may have gold coins or whatever we have.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Well, you and I know roughly about 40% of the world only considers gold. It's around like the India. They have the gold around their necks, right? Or in China, the same thing. Gold is the basic thing. The fiat currency, and knowing that Greenspan has expanded this thing incredibly, especially with Iraq and all the stuff on it, and they're not telling you what the real debt is, right? And they also talk about things called derivatives. And I defy you to tell me how you can give me an accounting figure on what a derivative really is. I mean, we have Chase Manhattan and Chemical Bank up there with what, about $100 trillion in assets in derivatives? There's no such thing. And that's running our country right now.
Now, are you getting this information from...
I'm getting it from my own people.
This is you, okay.
Yeah, this is me. I'm saying not from the ET. They could care less about money. They know that it's just a game that you and I are playing to keep track. This big Monopoly game that we're playing, we use money, right? Or whatever we're using. However, somebody else owns the game. You don't even own the house you live in.
Well, that's true. It's all mortgaged.
Try not paying your taxes.
Well, they come and take it away.
That's right.
That's right. If you don't pay
somebody else to pay the taxes, that's why it's an income flow.
Yeah.
It's a whole game. That's the same thing with stocks. If we can keep you diverted away from putting your money in the bank, then what we want you to do is put you into the big casino in the sky called the stock market.
You know what? I should call you more of a prophet than of a person who's been in touch with ETs, because that's what you sound like.
I know. I live in a world of... I live in a real live X-Files, if you want to know that. It's crazy.